just lived through the aftermath of a big debt crisis, the kind of thing that you say in your book comes along every 70 years or so. But we're in the midst of another bubble. Is that we're in the midst of another cycle?
No, I don't think we're in the midst right now of another bubble. Let me maybe clarify. When you hit zero interest rates, you have a different type of debt crisis. You have more likely to have a depression. So I think the period that we're in is very similar to the 1935-1940 period. Let me just explain that in a minute. 1929 to 1932, we had a debt crisis and interest rates hit zero. Not 2007 to 2009, we have a debt crisis, it hit zero. Then in both of those cases, there's only one thing for central banks to do, and that is to print money and buy financial assets. They print money, buy financial assets in both of those times. That pushes financial asset prices up, puts a lot of liquidity in, and also contributes to a greater wealth gap, because those who own financial assets benefit when those who don't own financial assets. As a result, in both periods of time of the wealth gap and the economy not improving for a large segment of the population, we have populism. So the last time that we would say when was populism popular, it would be in that period of time. That populism issue is an important issue. So as we look forward and we say when the next downturn comes, which will happen probably in a couple of years, we're going to have a different type of downturn, very similar to the one that happened in 1937 to the 1940 period. We are in the part of the cycle now that the Fed and other central banks, in varying degrees, are beginning to tighten monetary policy. Asset prices are sensitive to monetary policy because the duration of those assets is lengthened. And so central banks have to be very careful not to raise interest rates much faster than is built into the curve. But with that populism, we have an issue. So if we think about what the next downturn will be like, the downturn I think will be very different than the one in 2008. It'll be one in which I think that the social and political problems will be great because of that wealth gap and populism. I think there'll be more conflict. Right now times are good and we're sort of at each other's throats in that. I also worry about the effectiveness in monetary policy in reversing that, because monetary policy has interest rates, and we can't lower interest rates as much, and it has quantitative easing, the purchases of financial assets to push other financial assets out and get liquidity into the system. And that is at its maximum. So when we have a downturn, we're not going to have it to be as effective. I think also the downturn in our form of debt crisis won't just be debts. It'll also be pension obligations, healthcare obligations, unfunded obligations. And I think one more thing, and I think it'll be about us having to sell a lot of treasury bonds to the rest of the world, and I think that that'll also be an issue about 2 years out. So I would say 2 years out.
So he is right, where maybe this crypto bear market will last another year or two, but eventually I do see prices of crypto going up. And another great point he brought up is the fact that, pensions and a lot of these social safety net that baby boomers had, if the same people stay in power, the people that basically helped Trump do these tax cuts, it's going to happen. I'm not going to be surprised if pensions get cut, if Medicare and all these government subsidies that people are going to be relying on, they're going to have to cut it if they want to pay down this debt. And if the people that are holding this debt are really, really wealthy people, and those wealthy people do not want to write it off. So be very careful, and this is why I encourage financial education and investing, because I do feel like there's going to be more inequality, and the people that are smart and take control of their finances and know how to make their money work for them, they're going to have a great lifestyle. And then there's going to be, unfortunately, a very large part of the population that's just working poor, and they'll always be in debt, and they'll always be living paycheck to paycheck. And this is the game that they created, and that allows the ultra wealthy to stay ultra wealthy and for people to just continuously be slaves to debt. Let me know your thoughts on this, and I will talk to you soon.